All right, Payne, let's get to your last award. I really like picking your awards. I might just take this
Keep
job
doing
from you.
it.
Yeah. All right. This is so again, these awards are things Peyton says to himself when he looks in the mirror. And this is a what a tank award. And this is a guy, it's funny, his bicep is actually covered up by the Steelers logo, which take it how you will. Um, but he's taking a really bad gym selfie with like an iPhone 4, um, with a really, you can't actually see it in this picture entirely, but a really bad haircut too, and a really ugly
Great.
JCPenney tank top. So, yeah, unflattering pictures, I promise. But tell us what your tanking award is about.
So my tanking award is really about looking a little bit of like a little ahead into next year's class. Next year, that's been like every year we do this right after the draft. It's like, oh, you think this one was good? Like wait until next year's draft, right? And we've done that, but we've done that for like 3 years. It
We
feels
were
like
right one time, and it was after the Kenny
yeah,
Pickett draft because that was just
yeah,
so terrible, and we knew CJ
yeah,
Stroud was coming out. Bryce Young wasn't even really like a huge factor in that at that point. Neither was Anthony Rich.
right,
It was like hold out for CJ Stroud, and that
right.
was the whole thing.
But it seems like this, the 2027 class is being, already deemed as like maybe the best class of the 2020s even before it's happened, right? And especially from a QB standpoint. I hate to just like turn it into a quarterback conversation because I think there's a lot more to it. But with these teams in particular, like there was a thought that there is a designated list of teams that are very obviously going to be even after this draft, like people think are okay, they're definitely going for a quarterback next year, right?
Hmm.
I look at the teams that like I try to identify the teams that I think definitively could be in the running for a quarterback next year at some point in next year's class. Um, and I mean like going, Browns, Jets, Cardinals are like the three that everybody
Hmm.
even before like even when the season ended last year and they didn't end up with the number one pick, we're like, okay, well they're going to shoot for
Yep.
QB the following year. And then there were four other teams that kind of intrigued me. Like the Falcons, I think theoretically could be in
Hmm.
that bucket of teams. The Dolphins, obviously the roster is just not that good.
Hmm.
Even with the Malik Willis contract, it's structured in a way where they could theoretically, just do the thing where they sacrifice him to the
To the dead cat
what's it called?
gods of the NFL.
Take him
Yeah.
out to the pasture and just whatever, like sacrificial lamb.
Old Yeller
Um,
him.
yeah. Um, and then there's the Steelers and the Colts who are kind of in peculiar situations where they they have good enough rosters to like be able to compete for the division, but if something happens to either A, their aging quarterback from an injury standpoint, or B, the quarterback who's coming off an Achilles injury, things start to get a little hairy from as far as how competitive they're going to be. Even if
Are things hairy for the Steelers and their quarterback situation where they're pulling out um, contract tags that haven't
right
been used in 50
in like
years
a long time.
to keep the 43-year-old drug addict on the roster? Is that what we're talking about? That's
I
the
would think
situation you're alluding to?
I would think that we know a lot about football and the way that it works. I have never in my life heard of that tag that they used. It's like what is the technical name for it?
I gave up looking for it because I made myself mad describing it. I was just scrolling through my notifications on Twitter. Um,
Anyways,
Hang on, I'm right here. I'm
I
looking
know
for it.
Schefter tweeted it and I read it and I was like, I'm sorry, what? It's like right of refusal tag,
Yes,
right?
first right of refusal. Yeah.
First right of refusal tag, which I was like, what is this court? Like, what are we doing here?
And also just
Anyways,
like the thing about like now basically because he still hasn't signed and the
right,
draft has happened. So in theory that means he could sign somewhere else and the Steelers would not get a comp pick.
right,
So
but
this is
they could
basically
match
just
it.
like we could now get a
Yeah,
comp pick
yeah,
if you're
yeah,
not on the team next year and you go
yeah,
somewhere else.
right.
And it's just like we really don't want you to leave. Here's a raise and also we would need something back for you if
Right.
you were to stop.
But okay,
It's anyways,
so
okay.
my
Yeah.
point of naming like these seven teams, those are the ones that I really think like
Mhm.
could be in the QB market going into the 2027 class. The thing is, with some of the okay, I'll single out the Dolphins. The Dolphins just don't have a good enough roster. They're probably going to be really bad, like just straight up, and that's okay. But with the Cardinals, the Jets, and the Browns, okay, My thing is, like I really liked, especially the Jets and the Browns. Like Cardinals, I thought they did
Hmm.
okay. We can talk about the Jeremiah Love pick a little bit, but overall, I think they did okay. Um, but the Jets and the Browns, I was like, holy crap, you guys just completely remade your team in 2 years in a way that I didn't like even think you guys were going to be able to do. To a point where, the reason I throw the Cardinals in here is because the Cardinals kind of did a version of that last year and just kind of added on to it by
Hmm.
getting the best player in the draft for a lot of people that can single handedly like not I won't say single handedly win games, but like he can single handedly be responsible for putting more points on the board to maybe win you a couple games just by a
Who are
few
you talking
scoring
about?
plays. Jeremiah Love.
Jesus Christ. Okay. All
Anyways,
right.
my point. I'm
I
not.
was
I'm
like, who is
just
he? Who is he talking? What?
hear me out.
What?
Hear me out. So
Jeremiah
but
Love.
really, like I said, this is mostly for the Jets and the Browns. But the Cardinals are kind of like right behind them in this regard.
Hmm.
Are they? Is the teams themselves like? I really start to think like, are they gonna be bad enough to be in the top three?
Are they
Right.
Nets too good? Coming
Right.
up after the commercial break.
Like just especially with Cleveland. Like Cleveland's the one that I think of, right? Where
Well,
as
Cleveland you
bad
don't have
as
to worry about because Deshaun Watson is leading the QB room right now.
well, okay, but even then, I mean, last year the QB room was, well, I don't know what you want to make of it, but it wasn't good.
It,
And
it it's gonna be it. They will be
but they
fine in the sense
my
that they will be
okay,
terrible.
but they ended up with the sixth pick, right?
Hmm. It's true.
You're still like yes, there's quarterbacks in that range.
Are you confident that Mongen is the same coach as Stefanski and whoever the defensive coordinator is who Jim Schwartz is?
Fair point. I'm thinking of this from a roster construction
Okay.
standpoint. To be fair, I guess my point is I'm not confident that those three teams that we thought were like, okay, these are like it's the bottom four teams that are going to be there are the Dolphins, Cardinals, Jets, and Browns, right?
The Jets
Like I
might make
think
the playoffs. I
my
was hoping to
point
just
being
kind of squeak that in there. I wasn't sure if you were going to hear
my
it.
point being that like I just wonder if the teams are going to be as bad as we think they are that we thought the Dolphins I will say, but like even if yes, it's Jacoby Brissett. Like Jacoby Brissett was pretty good last season, and honestly, the defense had a few
Right.
really important pieces like Walter Nolan. And I forget who. I know there were some other injuries on that side of the ball
Hmm.
that they were counting on to like really improve the defense last year. Um, and I guess my thing is that I think there's a realistic place where we get into pre-draft season next year and we have the Browns still at like number 6. We have the Cardinals at
Hmm.
like 5, let's say, and then that's the Jets are probably the one that I'm most optimistic about, just because I think that they have done an incredible job of rebuilding both sides of the ball. And let's say the Jets are like 11, pick 11, right? If these are three teams that we think are going to need quarterbacks, like we're going to see a ton of like we're going to see movement up the board in some
Hmm.
form or fashion. Like these are there's and yes, the QB class is deep, but I wonder if it's not going to be just as cut and dry as like, oh yeah, these teams are going for quarterback without a doubt, and that means
Yep.
that they're just going to be flat out like 3-win teams,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
I do not think that's how this is going to pan out because I think that the rosters are just too. They're not 3-win team rosters in my
Hmm.
opinion. Cardinals maybe you can probably I guess are the closest to talking me into that,
Hmm.
but I think it'll be fascinating to look in I guess what would it be like 9 months theoretically
Hmm.
8 months and the season's over and we're immediately getting to the point where we're starting to hear okay well what is it going to cost for the Browns to have to move up from 6 to 2 in order to get the quarterback that they want, right?
Right.
I think that there's just going to be a lot more of movement required for these teams because they've just done so well in the last two drafts.
Yeah, it's usually just think about who could end up with the first overall pick. It's usually like a pretty surprising team, right?
Yeah, like
Um,
The Falcons would not shock me if they end up with the first pick. Just like a team like
Stefanski
that.
to offensive line is changing. Whatever's gonna end up happening with The defensive situation.
Like
Um,
there's talent on the roster, but there are some like clear red flags with that team.
I'm
And
trying to look at all the teams that
Miami,
finished third in their division.
yeah,
I
Miami's
mean,
one.
Miami was third. Washington. I mean, I know we like what Washington did this offseason,
Yeah,
but based on what the front office is doing with in terms of the coaching staff, because the thing is, this will be a fun summer project.
yeah,
I feel like coaching situation on the surface is what you can point to for the first overall pick teams before the roster.
it's fair. That's a fair point. Yeah,
Because
fair,
obviously,
fair
like the
enough.
Raiders, we thought the roster, and that's why it's usually pretty surprising teams, right? It's usually the
Right.
teams that have the 5.5 to 7.5 win total in the
Hmm.
preseason odds that end up with the first overall pick. And it's because, oh, the roster is actually pretty good. And then you get to the season, you're like, oh, this coaching is a mess. And that's why the Jets this year with Aaron Glenn, the Raiders
Yeah.
this year with Pete Carroll. Um, it's why the Browns aren't actually in the top five all the time. And it's because, they had Stefanski and Schwartz for a
Right.
long time running things. I agree with you. I think like the Cardinals and Dolphins feel like first time head coaches. We're not sure how it's going to go. The Cardinals have like, I forget what number I said, 20, 21 or 22 players still on the roster that they've drafted in the last 3 years. Maybe it's
Yeah.
more than that, 25, 26. So like that could go really good or that could go really bad. So we'll
Right.
see. Dolphins obviously is like a bunch of rookies and a first time head coach. So like that'll be interesting. The thing is, the Jets have the Colts pick, so if it ends up being the Colts, like the Jets
Right.
just have two
Right.
top 10 picks,
Right.
plus the Cowboys pick at 25 or whatever it's going to be. So, um, if it is one of these non-quarterback teams, yeah, yeah, Falcons make sense too.
I guess my
The
point is
Cardinals
that
when
like
Jeremiah Love does the Chris gets the Chris Paul meme, and it's like Jeremiah Love rips off second 75-yard touchdown of the game, and the Cardinals are now down 42
41 to
to
14.
14. Yeah,
I guess it's just interesting because like you said, I think it's we go into the following year, especially like
yeah,
once we identify the teams that need quarterbacks, especially is the one that always stands out. And it's just the fact that we're going into a really good, what we think is a really good quarterback
hmm,
class, like one of the best we've seen in the decade. And we don't know if the teams that are definitively going to be in the quarterback market are going to be in position to just like sit and be able to just sit pretty and know by the end of the season, oh yeah, we have the second overall pick. We're gonna get one of Archer, Dante Moore, and it'll be fine. But
yeah,
instead, it's like there's gonna have to be some movement that takes place before they can solidify their place. And it also means that like what is that going to end up costing? Because we really haven't seen like heavy movement like that required
hmm,
for quarterbacks in what feels like, I guess, maybe since Bryce Young. It's
right,
like the last one I can think of.
yep.
And there was a pretty hefty price when whenever that trade happened. So
Hmm.
I'm curious if we see not only like one, but almost like three or four of those trades happen
Yeah.
all in the same year, which I don't know that that's ever taken place before.
Yeah. I mean, shoot, man, if the Jets don't get the first overall pick, and we'll see when we get there, if we feel like there's an appreciable difference between anybody, 1-2 or 2-3 or 1-5, whatever it is. But if they did all this and they had the offseason they had and the draft that they had, and then they're not willing to offer like all three first round picks, right? Like, what was it all for? What was it
Right.
all for?
I which I totally agree with you. Yeah.
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 And yeah, if you're Miami, you're like, I can make 20 picks again next this year. Like, yeah, let's freaking do it. Let's go. Go from 1 to 3 and
Right.
pick a million times. All right, should we call an early shot? Who's gonna have the first overall pick next year?
I will go with Atlanta. I think there's enough there and not say anything against Stefanski. I like he was at one point a awesome coordinator for us in Minnesota. I've always liked his philosophy from an offensive standpoint. I always thought he got a bad rep in Cleveland. But with the quarterback like room that they have currently, we've we have reason to believe that there's concern between Penix's injuries and the I would say like pretty low ceiling of what Tua can be offensively.
Hmm.
But in addition to that, the offensive line all of a sudden has instability. And I know they signed oh
Jawan
gosh,
Taylor.
Yes, thank you. They signed Dewan Taylor, which is a nice job to replace McGarry after his abrupt retirement. But um, and you still have the James Pierce thing lying around, which I guess he's maybe gonna play. I don't really know yet,
Yeah,
but there's too much to me instability with those things that I named for me to feel confident that they're going to be not be a how do I say this? There's enough concern for me to think that they are not going to be like a really like a competitive team.
hmm
I think that, which I don't know what their win total is right now, but I would venture to say that they're probably somewhere in like the 7.5 win total, which, like you said, is kind of the bucket that we're shopping in
Yep.
for the surprise team that ends up with the number one pick. Steelers are another one where it's just that those are the two teams that stand out. If I'm not going to go with the obvious picks of like the
hmm
Dolphins, um, just because if we're at a point where we're starting Drew Aller, in week 6, then things have gone horribly wrong
What are you
for
talking
the
about?
Steelers.
Drew
So
Aller by week 6, man. They'll get to 12 wins that way. Um, all right, I'm definitely gonna change my mind on this, but I'm gonna say I could cheat and just say the Jets will have it because they'll trade up to some team that I'm not gonna
yeah, yeah,
name. Um, I don't want to put it on the Jets because I'm waiting for the Geno turnaround, man. Uh, I'll go. I will take one of the easy ones, and I'll just say the Cardinals. I'll say Cardinals. I
yeah.
think
Okay.
Cardinals.
I think if I were to
I think
take
as the one
yeah,
team that made no trades with any, like they just sat and
yeah,
picked
it's fair.
their 7 picks. It just feels like they're like I literally said they're on auto draft. Like they're just like call us when we have the first pick in
Yeah,
2027. We'll make it happen.
which is a little funny to me because when Monty first kind of came on board, he was this like oh, I'm gonna move
the
up and
the
down the
viral
board, like
clip of him
yeah,
making all the
yeah,
trades. That was I
yeah,
never we
and
just all assumed he was good at that point. And then this
yeah.
time he was
Now
like, I'm
now
good.
you just say whatever. I'll just sit and
His
pick
owner
and
made him
yeah,
take
yeah.
a running back, and he was like, I don't want to play with you. I'm taking my ball and going home. I'm not gonna make any phone calls. Screw you.
But if I were to pick one of the easy ones, I would pick the Dolphins. To be fair, but I feel like they're probably the favorite if I had to
Yeah.
like look at odds. But yeah. Anyways, I guess it was just like it's not as cut and dry as like the bad teams that we thought were going to be bad and tanking for quarterbacks are actually going to end up being bad because I don't really think that's the case. That's all.
Right.